Here's a question I want you to answer honestly right now before this video goes any further. Are you wealthy? Not comfortable? Not doing okay? Actually wealthy? Most people answer that question based on feeling, how their lifestyle looks, what neighborhood they live in, whether they can afford to go out to dinner without stressing about it. And most people are wrong, not slightly off. Significantly, sometimes shockingly wrong. Because wealth isn't a feeling and it isn't a lifestyle. It is one single number. And when most people calculate that number for the first time, what they find out about where they actually stand stops them cold. By the end of this video, you will know exactly where you sit on the real wealth spectrum. Not based on income, not based on what your life looks like from the outside, but based on the actual numbers. We are going to walk through every level of the wealth ladder from the very bottom to the top, show you the real data behind each one, and follow one person's financial life all the way through so you can see exactly what the math looks like in practice. And we are going to do something most financial content never does. Show you what it actually takes, with real numbers, to move from one level to the next. Stay until the end because the age-adjusted data completely changes how this picture looks, and most people have never seen it. But before we climb anything, one concept has to be absolutely clear. Because if you misunderstand this, everything else in this video will mislead you. Your income is not your wealth. Say that again. Your income, your salary, your hourly rate, whatever hits your bank account every month, is not your wealth. Your wealth is your net worth. It is the total of everything you own. Savings, investments, retirement accounts, real estate equity, the value of your car minus every dollar you owe. Mortgages, student loans, car loans, credit card balances. That final number, assets minus liabilities, is the only number that tells you where you actually stand. And the reason this distinction matters so much is that the two numbers can tell completely opposite stories. You can have a strong income and a negative net worth, and millions of people do. And to make all of this concrete, we are going to follow one person through every level. Her name is Danielle. She is 33 years old, works as a project manager, and earns $82,000 a year. After taxes, she takes home around $5,000 a month. She lives in a decent apartment, drives a relatively new car, goes out occasionally, travels once or twice a year. By every visible measure, Danielle looks solidly middle class. She feels middle class. Her friends assume she is middle class. Let's run her actual numbers. On the asset side, her car is worth about $21,000. She has $14,000 in her 401k. She has $4,000 in a savings account. Total assets, $39,000. On the liability side, she still owes $17,000 on the car loan. She has $28,000 remaining on student loans. She carries a $3,000 credit card balance. Total liabilities, $48,000. Net worth, negative $9,000. Danielle is not middle class. She is in the bottom 25% of American households by net worth, and she had absolutely no idea. Let's look at what that bracket actually means, and then start climbing. The bottom 25% of American households have a net worth below approximately $23,000, and a significant portion of this group have net worth at or below zero, meaning their debts completely eliminate any assets they've accumulated. The most important thing to understand about this bracket is who is actually in it. It is not only people with low incomes. It is filled with people earning $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 or more per year who have simply been consuming their income rather than converting it into assets. The paycheck arrives. The rent, the loan payments, the lifestyle expenses take it. Very little remains. The income looks middle class. The balance sheet doesn't. For Danielle, the diagnosis is clear. No home equity, the single most significant wealth-building mechanism for average American households. Debt that exceeds her assets. Retirement savings that, while started, are nowhere near proportional to her income or her age. She has been earning a solid salary for years and her net worth is negative. This is the fundamental trap of the bottom bracket. You can build a comfortable-looking life without building any actual wealth at all. So what does it take to climb out? The next rung, lower middle class. Net worth between $23,000 and roughly $180,000. To cross into this bracket, Danielle needs to close a gap of approximately $32,000. eliminating her negative position and reaching the $23,000 threshold. There are only two real levers: grow assets or eliminate debt. If Danielle commits an extra $500 per month to her student loans above her minimum payment, she eliminates them in under 4 years. Just that one action, combined with consistent retirement contributions, would push her net worth across the threshold. She would be in the lower middle class bracket. But here's what matters about this range. Most households here didn't reach it through sophisticated investing. They reached it primarily through buying a home. Home equity makes up the majority of net worth for households at this level. A typical household here might look like this: a home with $65,000 in equity, $18,000 in retirement savings, $9,000 in a savings account, minus a car loan of $11,000. Net worth around $81,000. That looks meaningful, but examine it closely. Nearly all of that wealth is locked inside the house. It cannot be spent, it cannot cover an emergency, it cannot pay next month's bills without selling the property or taking on additional debt. The liquid financial cushion for a household at this level might be $10,000 to $15,000 at most. The progress is real, but so is the financial fragility. One significant unexpected expense can destabilize a household here very quickly. The middle median net worth, approximately $193,000. This is the exact midpoint of American household wealth. Half of all households have more, half have less. And when most people hear that number for the first time, they have one of two reactions. Either it sounds surprisingly low, or it sounds completely out of reach. Both reactions reveal the same thing. Most people have a distorted picture of where the middle actually is. At the median, the wealth composition typically looks like this: around $120,000 in home equity, $50,000 across retirement accounts, $15,000 in savings, with some manageable consumer debt. On paper, it looks reasonable, but here's the number that should change how you see this. Strip out the home equity and count only what a household can actually access: savings, liquid investments, money that can be used in an emergency, and the median liquid net worth is somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000. That is the real financial cushion for half of America. It explains why one layoff, one medical crisis, one unexpected major expense can send a household at the median into genuine financial distress. The median isn't broke, but the median isn't secure either. There is a meaningful and consequential difference between those two things. Upper middle class, $193,000 to approximately $610,000. This is where something structurally important shifts. Below this level, net worth is overwhelmingly driven by home equity, wealth that was built somewhat passively, almost accidentally, through years of mortgage payments. In the upper middle class bracket, intentional wealth building starts to become visible. Retirement accounts are growing meaningfully. Some households have taxable investment accounts. The asset composition starts to diversify beyond the home. At the lower end of this bracket, say $250,000, the split might still be 65% home equity and 35% everything else. But by the time a household approaches $600,000, the composition is closer to half and half. That shift matters enormously. A house may appreciate over time, but appreciation is illiquid. You cannot spend it without selling or borrowing. Investments compound. They generate returns you can eventually live on. The households in this bracket who are building real long-term security share certain characteristics. They are contributing consistently to retirement accounts, often maximizing their contributions. They carry debt strategically, a low-interest mortgage rather than high-interest consumer balances. And critically, they are beginning to benefit from the single most powerful force in personal finance: compound growth. Here's the math that most people never actually sit down and calculate. Once your investment portfolio reaches a meaningful size, it starts growing faster than your contributions do. The gap between $600,000 and $1 million feels enormous when you're looking up at it. But it takes significantly less time to travel that distance than it took to get from $0 to $600,000. Compounding is not linear. It accelerates. And it accelerates hard right around this bracket. This is the launchpad level. The households who build to this point and stay consistent don't just inch forward, they begin to accelerate in ways that feel almost unfair compared to the slow grind of the earlier levels. Upper class, $610,000 to approximately $1.7 million. We are now in the top 25% of American households by net worth. And at this level, the financial picture looks categorically different from everything below it. The defining shift: investments now dominate net worth. At this level, roughly 70% to 75% of total net worth sits in financial assets: retirement accounts, brokerage accounts, business equity, investment properties. Home equity is still present, but it is a smaller piece of a larger and more diversified picture. This is the inversion point. Below this bracket, your home is almost certainly your biggest asset. Above it, your investment portfolio is. Let's run the math on how ordinary people actually arrive here. A household that begins investing $1,000 per month at age 30 and earns a 7% average annual return will have approximately $560,000 after 20 years from contributions and compounding alone. Add $200,000 in home equity accumulated over the same period, and that household is sitting at $760,000 at age 50. No inheritance required, no unusually high income needed, just consistent, disciplined investing across 2 decades. And here's the thing that genuinely surprises most people about who actually occupies this bracket. They are frequently not who you would picture. They do not typically drive luxury cars or wear visible markers of wealth. The research on high net worth households consistently shows that most of them accumulated their wealth through disciplined saving and investing over time, not through extraordinary income. The phrase high income, low net worth exists for a reason. Plenty of households earning $200,000 annually never reach this bracket, while households earning $90,000 do. What separates them is not what they earn. It is what they keep and what they consistently put to work. Top 10%, $1.7 million and above. To enter the top 10% of American households by net worth, a household needs approximately $1.7 million. At this level, something qualitatively different becomes possible. A portfolio of $1.7 million invested conservatively at a 4% annual return generates roughly $68,000 per year in passive income without touching the principal. That exceeds the median household income in the United States. Produced entirely by investments, not by labor, work for a household at this level begins to shift from necessity to choice. Risk tolerance increases. Opportunities become available that were structurally inaccessible before. The relationship between time and money fundamentally changes. And even within this bracket, the range is staggering. A household at the $1.7 million threshold and a household in the top 1%, which begins at approximately $12 to $13 million, are living in completely different financial realities. The top 0.1% starts at over $40 million. The wealth gap within the wealthy is as dramatic as the gap between the wealthy and everyone else. But for the purposes of this video, what matters is this. The top 10% threshold is genuinely reachable for many ordinary households over a working lifetime. The math supports it. What prevents most people from getting there is not income. It is the absence of a plan and the absence of ever actually running the numbers. Now here's where everything we have covered gets significantly more interesting and significantly more personal. Every number we have used so far compares everyone to everyone. 25-year-olds and 65-year-olds measured against the same benchmarks. That comparison is nearly meaningless. Net worth accumulates over time. A recent graduate and someone 2 years from retirement should not be evaluated against the same numbers. When you break net worth down by age group, the entire picture reshapes. The Federal Reserve data shows median net worth by age bracket. Under 35, approximately $39,000. Ages 35 to 44, approximately $135,000. Ages 45 to 54, approximately $248,000. Ages 55 to 64, approximately $364,000. Ages 65 to 74, approximately $410,000. Let's bring Danielle back. She is 33 with a net worth of negative $9,000. Against the overall population, she is in the bottom 25%. Against her specific age group, where the median is $39,000, she is approximately $48,000 below the midpoint for people her own age. She is close to the 10th percentile for her age bracket. 90% of households her age have a higher net worth. Now apply the same age-adjusted lens to 2 different people. A 46-year-old with a net worth of $200,000 looks like a median American against the overall population. Average, fine. But compared to their age group, where the median is $248,000, they are slightly below average for their peers. And the 75th percentile for their age group sits at approximately $740,000. They are nowhere near the upper brackets for their generation. Now look at a 27-year-old with $150,000 in net worth. Against the overall population, lower middle class, unremarkable on paper. Against their age group, approximately the 80th percentile, ahead of 4 out of every 5 households their age. Same dollar amount, completely different story depending on context. This is why age-adjusted benchmarks change everything. A 30-year-old who is behind the median has decades of compounding ahead of them. A 57-year-old who is behind the median has a narrow and rapidly closing window. The number matters. The time you have left to act on it matters just as much. So let's bring Danielle to the decision point. She knows where she stands. The question is what happens next. If Danielle changes nothing, minimum loan payments, minimal retirement contributions, no real changes to her spending. Her student debt drags on for over a decade. Her net worth crawls forward. By her mid-50s, she might have $130,000. That sounds like progress until you see that the median for 55 to 64-year-olds is $364,000. 2 decades of solid income, and she would still be well below average for her age. That is the cost of going through the financial motions without intention. If Danielle gets deliberate, cuts $700 per month from discretionary spending, splits it between aggressive debt payoff and increased retirement contributions, buys a modest home in her late 30s, and builds equity, the picture transforms. Her student loans are gone in under 4 years. She redirects that payment into investments. At a 7% average return by her mid-50s, her investment portfolio alone approaches $350,000. Add home equity, and she is approaching $500,000 in net worth. Upper middle class, well above the 75th percentile for her age group. Same salary, same starting point. Completely different outcome from one shift in decision-making. And if Danielle gets aggressive, grows her income through deliberate career moves, keeps her lifestyle expenses relatively stable as her earnings increase, and begins investing the difference, the numbers become genuinely remarkable. At $1,500 per month into investments after debt elimination with a 7% return, her portfolio alone reaches $700,000 by her mid-50s. Add real estate equity, and she is approaching $1 million. That is the top 25% of all American households, and well into the top tier for her age. From negative $9,000 to $1 million in 20 years, not through inheritance, not through luck, through the compounding effect of intentional decisions made early enough to matter. So come back to the question this video opened with. Are you wealthy? Now you have the actual numbers to find out. And if where you actually stand is different from where you thought you stood, that is not a problem. That is the most valuable piece of financial information you can have. Because you cannot build a plan from a feeling. You can only build a plan from an accurate picture of where you actually are. The wealth ladder is not fixed. People move up it consistently, not by hoping, not by earning more and spending more in parallel, but by understanding the math and making decisions that serve the number that actually matters. Your net worth. Calculate it today, then decide what you want to do with what you find. If this video gave you some sort of clarity, like it and share it with friends and family. Subscribe to our channel for more content like this, and turn on the bell icon to be notified every time we post a video. We will see you in our next video. Until then, stay safe and stay blessed.